Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we are into another format, another new core set, and that brings us a new deck profile. Today we're looking at a variation of MATHMECH. It's going to be Code Talker MATHMECH, which is my personal favorite way to play the deck. And by the deck, I just mean Cyber's good stuff. MATHMECH is such a crazy good engine nowadays, especially with the introduction of Circular. We'll talk about that more when we get there, but you can play Adignisters with the MATHMECH stuff. You can play Salads with the MATHMECH stuff, Code Talkers, or just pure MATHMECH altogether. Couple extra synergies in that variant, obviously, more so than the others, but this engine is still just a crazy addition to the Cyber's package that it now pretty much makes it like the best card to draw on the deck is Circular. It's crazy. So that being said, I did a little poll a couple weeks ago talking about how you guys wanted deck profiles to go down on the channel. I've come to a new conclusion on those. Going to keep it around 15 minutes, but I'm going to break it up into specific sections. Instead of just doing one whole deck profile, it's going to be part one is me going through every card or the whole profile just like immediately, all at once, no explanations or anything, just showing you all the cards, what I'm running. Part two will be the individual or like, I guess, separated sections of the deck and why I'm on different choices, why I'm on certain ratios, so on and so forth. The third part will be a base combo showing you just kind of one basic combo that you can kind of take with you and kind of expand into other parts of the deck, because a lot of combos will kind of take from that combo, kind of either shrink or expand from that combo. And then the last part will be a quick little test hand showing you a 5-card hand of what you would expect to draw and kind of how to play it out, or some things you might want to think about as you're trying to play the deck out. So got that out of the way there. That should be hopefully the new format of deck profiles going forward. But yeah, let's just jump into this thing. Let's hop into the deck list. But before that, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet and you want to see more deck profiles from your boy down the line, as well as follow me on Twitter. New Twitter, having a lot of fun on there. So follow me on there. And yeah, okay, to the deck list. Sorry. All right, so starting off with our main deck here, we start off with the best normal summon in all of Cyber's history. Triple copies of Lady Debug. This card searches any level 3 or lower Cyber's, really good. Additional normal summons, 1 Cyber's Gadget and 1 Dotscaper. Not ideal turn 1 normal summons, but still get the job done. For the mini coders, triple copies of Microcoder, followed by 1 copy of Code Generator and 1 Converter for additional extenders. They're into the MATHMECH engine from there. Triple Circular, best card in the deck, and then 1 addition, 1 subtraction, and 1 Sigma for the additional extenders for that package. Now we move to hand traps, one hash, triple ash, triple Veiler, then double Mourner, double Bell, double Ogre, and then double Crow here, finishing up the hand traps. All great heat soul targets, even on the opponent's turn. Spells, consistency with Signet Mining, triple of that. 1 copy of Monster Reborn, best extender for Cyber stuff, especially since they're so weak to getting their normal summon popped. Triple Tactics Talents at 2, helping us play through hand traps. 1 Cross Swipe and 1 Called by the Grave for quick plays. 1 Conflict and 1 Super Factorial for searchable traps via your engine. And then finishing up the main deck with 2 Rivalry of Warlords, because this card just freaking dunks on everybody. From there, we move to the extra deck. For the Link 1s, 1 Lingaribo and 1 Almirage. 1 Code Talker, 2 Splash Mage, 1 Security Dragon, and 1 Pit Knight early. For the Link 2s, for the Link 3s, double Transcode, 1 Heat Soul, and 1 S-Force Justify. For Link 4s, Access Code and Firewall, pretty self-explanatory. And then finishing up here with the Exceed monsters, Lapilation and Alimbertion, because they are just mandatory, if you ask me. All right, so now looking at the section where we explain our card choices, ratios, and so on and so forth, just the deck in general. Let's start off with our starter package here. So looking at our starters, we obviously have the triple debug, of course, Gadget, and Dotscaper. I know some people may not consider these starters, like Dotscaper could be like a dependent extender if you're using it with like Code Generator, but I do think any card that being normal summon equals at like a 1 card access code or a 1 card heat soul still kind of counts as a pseudo starter for me. But obviously these can have different meanings. Same thing with Gadget, and even more so on following turns, like even more powerful. But at least for this deck, like is still a 1-card heat soul, 1-card access code, triple microcoder, so people consider this an extender as well, but I think the fact that this plus literally any Cyberse monster or hand trap, which can just be linked into Almirage, why we play it, can kind of just make it get sign it mining, which can get you circular, and then circular pops off from there. So it's really not a problem. Speaking of which, triple circular in and of itself, this card is not only the best extender in your deck, but it's also like arguably a better extender than just opening debug, so you still have to respect it at the end of the day. And then finishing up here, triple signet mining. Again, another card that can be an extender if you already have a starter, but also just a starter in its own right. If you don't have debug, if you don't have circular, it's grabbing one of those usually. So really, really cool package here. What I love about these is that most of these are just dual purpose, right? Microcoder, circular, signet mining, even dotscape are all extenders in their own right, in the right situation, but also still starters. So I love that they can kind of cross over and have dual purpose. It really adds a lot of extra consistency to the deck that it otherwise might not have had. Then from there, we have like specific just extenders only, and that obviously falls down to like all the other 3 MATHMECH monsters. I love these guys because none of these are bricks at all in the list at all. Like drawing any of these is fine. The only card you don't really want to draw is Super Factorial. But even that is like if you can get your MATHMECH engine online throughout your play, like you don't care anyway. And then there's a generator and the converter. These are just specifically really good. Like you can almost argue generator can almost be treated as a starter just because it plus any hand trap whatever still gets you to like a heat soul and like draw some cards. But I think overall I think I fall it into the extender category. And the last extender is just simple little monster reborn here, nothing too crazy there. I think this is pretty simple. Like just most of these don't end up being starters / extenders. That's why like the other category has so many and this one has so few. It's not that the deck doesn't have enough extenders, it's just that you have so many cards that can be either starter or extender, which is really nice. The only like quote unquote bricks in the deck, cards you don't want to draw, are these, your trap cards, your conflict and your super factorial, which honestly, depending on the situation, are not that bad to draw. For example, if you had to use a microcoder to get like a signet mining, or he just got ashed or something, you could literally make heat soul as part of your play. And if on your turn, before you pass turn, you use heat soul and you just draw conflict, you're like, cool, set conflict, go for it. So it totally works out there. It is not bad at all. Then for the hand trap lineup, you guys showed you here, triple ash, triple veiler, double ogre, double bell, double crow. I think the biggest thing to keep in mind here is that every single one of these is live if you draw them off of heat soul, even on the opponent's turn. I just wanted a really flexible lineup here that could potentially save your keister if you kind of need an interruption on the fly. You're drawing a card off heat soul and it's literally have an extra interruption or lose the duel. 12 is a pretty good count, and I feel like all these hand traps are pretty good in the format regardless. Obviously, feel free to wiggle these around depending on the format you are currently in. From there, double for a bunch of, I guess, some additional defensive cards. Double, triple tactics talents, 1 signet crosswipe, and 1 called by the grave. Good in their own right. I like talents. This could be 2 more hand traps if you want it. This could be 2 more traps if you want it. Definitely a flex spot, but because we're playing against splites right now, I'm expecting to see a lot of hand traps in the format. So tactics being able to draw us 2 or rip a card out of hand if we already are playing through our opponent's stuff. Really, really powerful. Obviously, Crosswipe, a really cool card. This is a Mystic Mine out in the main. It's also searchable off microcoder, so it does give us a little extra searchability there. I've had scenarios where I hard draw either this or conflict, and so when I go to search off microcoder, I'm kind of just like, oh shoot, I've already got conflict. I'll just grab Crosswipe. Now I've got a pop and an Omni Negate. That's pretty dang powerful. So I like that, and then Called by the Grave. I just felt like, why play 1 Cosmic Cyclone as an out to Mystic Mine when I could play this, which is like extra searchable, has extra utility of hitting any card on the field, not just spells and traps, and can even be an additional interruption at the end of the day. And then Called is Called. I don't really need to explain that. And the final card in the main, Double Rivalry. Insanely powerful card right now in the format. In fact, the last couple formats, this card has been crazy. The guy who won our Nationals this year was literally playing 3 of this in the main, so it goes to show you the kind of format we're in. This card's just crazy. I highly recommend you play it if your deck does not mind it, for sure. All right, then moving to the extra, Lingeribo and Almirage for the Link 2s. Lingeribo is there for scenarios like, I would say like Cyberse Gadget, clearing him off the field so that you can trigger his effect to get a token and just kind of extend from there, as well as certain things like being able to like link off something so that you can use like a Monster Reborn to reborn it, or something else. It really just depends on the scenario, but this does come up. It also helps you play into trap decks really easily, which is nice. Then Almirage, this is for the scenarios where you have an extender plus a hand trap, but it's kind of a weak hand otherwise. So you need to make a Cyberse just to make sure that like Cyberse Converter, Microcoder, Code Generator can use their extending effects from hand. And then be able to get into like Splash Mage and at least climb up into a Heat Soul and try to draw your way into a playable / winnable duel. From there, the link 2 is Code Talker. This is just for the mini coders. Double Splash Mage. I like 2 of this just because in the grind game, you'll use like turn one most of the time, and then having the second one can save your keister. 1 Security Dragon. This is to have not only non-destruction removal, which the deck does not have a ton of, but also a removal before you get to either access code or firewall, which can be huge. Like being able to bait an interruption out with this, like if you can bait an imperm out with this before you even get to access code, then like your opponent knows the duel's over, which is cool. And then Pit Knight. This is the new one. It's a pretty interesting card. If it's destroyed, it like comes back on the next turn, right? Let's see. During the end phase. So it'll summon itself back from the end phase if it was destroyed that turn. But also, it says if the monster it points to activates its effect, you can target a monster your opponent controls, negate its effects, and make it 0. This card literally just came out, so sorry if I don't know it that well. Okay, when a monster this card points to activates its effect, target 1 effect monster your opponent controls until the end of this turn. Change its attack to 0, also negates effects. What I like about this is the way that Heat Soul points down diagonally, you can literally summon this under him, pointing back up to the Heat Soul. So that way you can use Heat Soul's effect to draw on the opponent's turn. So then you draw, and then you can even, in the same chain, trigger this to negate a monster your opponent controls and make it 0. So kind of a nifty card. It also comes back if it's destroyed. So even the fact that just ending on this makes your board a little stickier, makes your opponent have to work around destruction removal at that point, is pretty cool. For link 3s, double transcode, kind of the same idea as the double Splash Mage. First one comes up a lot turn 1, so the second one comes up later in the grind. Heat Soul, obviously, this card's insane. You only need 1 because you'll make a transcode to just reborn it later on in the duel. Just hope you won't get judgmented on it. And then Justify. So some people don't understand this, but Heat Soul has a secondary portion of his effect where if you pay 1,000 to draw and then your life points are below 2,000 or 2,000 or lower, I think, he can quick effect like tag himself out, banish himself to summon a link 3 Cyberse, link 3 or lower Cyberse straight from the deck. There is no link 3 or lower Cyberse that immediately offers you interruption aside from Justify. He is the only one. You cannot make him otherwise because he requires an S-Force material, but being able to just like cheat him out in that dire situation to get an additional impermanence effect plus his crazy like battle phase banish effect is actually quite strong. So when you do get him out, it feels really clutch. This is definitely the biggest flex spot in the deck aside from like Pit Knight. So feel free to like look at stuff like Update Jammer, some other Cyberse names as well if you want, but I'm rocking with those for right now. Then for link 4s, 1 access code, 1 firewall. This is your going first, add an extra bounce to your board, and this is your going second or just later in the duel, kill your opponent immediately kind of card. Some people play double access code in this deck. That's totally up to them. That can be one of their flex spots, but I'm opting to just play the 1. And then finishing up here, you have the mandatory Allen Burschen and Laplation for that MATHMECH play, being able to search out any MATHMECH card to keep extending you or just get super factorial. And then Laplation is the one. All right, for the combo portion of this video, I'm going to be showing you a pretty simple, not too crazy 2-card combo using pretty much our 2 best starters, Lady Debug and MATHMECH Circular. What I like about the combos for a lot of Cyberse decks, especially Code Talkers, is kind of like the way you can kind of like mentally think about these combos is how many Cyberse bodies do I have access to? Because that will tell you how high you're going to be able to link up, how far you're going to be able to extend, and at the end of the day, like what your end board is going to look like. So I like that you can kind of simplify, dumb it down to just how many bodies can I get, and not worrying about levels, not worrying about, you know, super crazy interactions. It's just pretty simple. So I'm going to start off here by normal summoning Lady Debug. I think I always want to start with Debug here because this is a big hand trap bait card. If it does, awesome, we've got the Circular, but if not, let's just assume not. We're going to grab our Microcoder. So from here, I don't want to link off yet because if I go into the extra deck now, we're going to lock ourselves out of using Sigma. We kind of need Sigma here. So we're going to use circular, by the way. Pitches for cost. Going to go ahead and send our Sigma from deck to grave. Then we're going to use Sigma immediately because we have no monster in the EMZ, summoning itself back to trigger circular. So circular is going to grab any cyber, spell, or trap. Obviously, we only play one in this list. That's going to be Superfactorial. From here, we're going to go ahead and overlay. Just keep things moving along here. We're going to grab Allen Bershin. We're going to detach Sigma for this. And I love this too because this doesn't put Sigma, or this puts Sigma back in grave instead of getting banished by his own effect, which means next turn he can just come back even if our opponent does somehow break our board. But we're going to use Allen Bershin. We're just going to go ahead and search ourselves an extender here. I'm going to grab addition at this point. I like grabbing addition if it's our turn, like going first, because then we save subtraction to potentially have a game-saving, lower your opponent's attack points kind of effect to kind of save your keister. We'll grab addition here. We'll go ahead and use addition on the Allen Bershin to go ahead and summon himself. Then we're going to go ahead and get link summoning. So we're going to take addition and our Allen Bershin here into a Splash Mage. Then we're going to go ahead and use Splash Mage. Doesn't really matter what you reborn here. I'm just going to grab circular just because his artwork is awesome and I just got him and I'm very excited. From here, I want to use Microcoder. I want to get Microcoder out earlier here just because. We'll go ahead and grab Transcode. That's going to trigger Microcoder Engrave to go ahead and search us any Sign It spell or trap. That will give us our conflict. And then from here, Transcode, go ahead and target the Splash Mage to revive it. Then we can go ahead and take Circular plus Splash Mage into our Heat Soul. Then we can go ahead and take Debug and Transcode into Firewall, by the way, co-linked with Heat Soul. And before we end our turn, we'll use Heat Soul to go ahead and draw a card. I'm not even going to show you what it is. Let's just consider it a blank draw. That could be a hand trap. That could be something like a Rivalry, which was on the bottom of the deck, funny enough. Or anything, right? It could be a follow-up card, right? Just another normal summon. And then we're going to set our 2 cards. So these are going to be Conflict and Superfactorial. We're going to pass turn on this, keeping in mind everything we have. We've got another draw of Heat Soul, so bloop, on the opponent's turn. We're going to have a bounce off a Firewall, which can either be another interruption, or it can just add back a follow-up card from our grave. Omni-negate that banishes and keeps your opponent from activating another card with that same name for the rest of the turn. Insanely powerful. And MATHMECH Superfactorial, able to summon back 3 of our MATHMECH monsters in grave to go ahead and overlay for this on the opponent's turn. One thing you do need to keep in mind is please do not Firewall adding back any of your MATHMECHs before you fire off the Superfactorial, because that will just straight up lock you out of being able to summon him if you do it the wrong way. So please don't do that. But this is going to like pseudo-trish your opponent. It's going to hit a monster on field, a spell and trap on the field, and rip a card out of their hand. So you're like doing the trish. You're negating any one thing. You've gotten 2 draws so far off Heat Soul, a bounce off Firewall, and I didn't even mention we still have Sigma Engrave, which will reborn off the Laplation. It'll end up back in grave, but it uses Exceed material, so it's not banished at all. So even if our opponent breaks any of this through all of that interaction, Sigma just is able to come back next turn if we can clear our EMZ anyway. Absolutely insane, absolutely broken. That is a crazy 2-card combo. If it resolves, I have a hard time believing you're losing that duel very often. All right, guys, into the combo portion of the video. I have just shuffled my deck a ton, so let's go ahead and see our 5-card hand. Oh my. Okay, we got the Sigma there. That's not ideal. Okay, this hand's looking really not great. Effect Veiler and Subtraction. Oh my god, we drew like 4 of our 6 MATHMECH monsters. Okay. I mean, listen, this isn't the end of the world here. It's not ideal. Definitely not ideal. But like, this will just give you a basic little showing, okay? This is not something like too overwhelming to see. Kind of like 2 of our defensive cards. Wait, I just drew 6 cards. What's wrong with me? Oh my god. I'm going crazy. Okay, this is fine. This is totally fine. This will work. It's kind of like the same thing of just drawing MATHMECH Circular, but that's okay. So we're gonna, I guess we're gonna fire a Circular from hand first, right? And we're gonna go ahead and send one of these. It really doesn't matter which one. I guess I'm sending, it doesn't matter. I'll just send addition, I guess. There. I'm gonna go ahead and, wait, does this need a normal or a special summon? Normal or special summon. Okay, cool. I'm going to normal summon a second circular to go ahead and trigger the first circular. Woo! We'll grab super factorial. Before we commit anything else, I'm going to go ahead and summon Sigma because I want Sigma to be used as Exceed material. That way he ends up back in grave. So we'll summon him immediately. We'll go ahead and take him and this circular into Alan Bershin. We'll go ahead and detach, getting that Sigma to grave so we can search our last MATHMECH monster in the deck. We'll grab subtraction. Then we can go ahead and just use subtraction here, just get him on the field over here. Then we can take these two into splash. Splash, go ahead and revive a circular, doesn't really matter. Then we can use, yeah, not that. Wait, hold on, let me think. So we've got, see, because this doesn't get us, we can, yeah, we can just end on the co-link, which I think is like fine. I think that's good enough. Yeah, so we'll take these two. We'll go into our transcode boy. We'll transcode back the splash mage. And then from here, we'll take these last two into our heat soul. We'll use heat soul to draw a card. So this will be a blank. Actually, no, we're doing, oh wait, hold on. I should shuffle. Yeah, I've done a bunch of searching. Let me shuffle first. That was going to be an Ash, which would have been nice. Nice at the end of the day, but let's just make sure we're keeping it civil here. Let's make sure we're keeping it how it should be. Our opponent's going to cut our deck probably after all the searching. We'll grab a generator. Not bad. And maybe, well, I guess this would be after you've already gone heat soul, so it's not like this really, I was going to say this can help us make firewall, but it doesn't at this point, so I'm probably just holding this in hand anyway. But either way, I am not mad at all. I'm going to go ahead and set these two. So I've got a cross wipe to have a pretty much just Trident pop effect on my opponent's turn. Super factorial to reborn 3 of my MATHMECHs on the opponent's turn and just make a Laplation to hit them hard, as well as a Veiler. And let's assume we're not doing anything in the deck, so we're going to draw off Heat Soul on the opponent's turn. So now we've got Debug. So we already have Debug plus Generator coming at our opponent on the next turn, plus a Sigma Engrave. And if we're using Crosswipe, we're attributing the transcode every time because we want to clear that EMZ for Sigma, which is a lot. I think even though this hand kind of looked pretty bad with like 3 out of our 6 MATHMECH monsters in it, including double circular, but at the end of the day, circular is just so crazy that like circular plus like any extender, which in this case was just like, I guess just a normal summon, a normal summoned second circular, gets you all the way to that. And if we had like an actual extender that didn't take our normal, we would have been able to get to a firewall as well. So at the end of the day, really, really solid. I'll take that. I'll take that for sure. Not quite as strong as our 2-card combo, but still really solid nonetheless. That was what? 1, 2, 3, 4 interruptions with 4 technically follow-ups. Absolutely, I'm taking that. Hopefully that's a good example of to you guys how you can play this deck. I just think this version of the deck, the like more control-y, Heat Soul control version, just gets, like the ceiling of it just gets so much higher. It's so much more threatening now with the MATHMECH engine. Very, very happy about that, but that's kind of where we're at. That's pretty much everything for us today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I took a lot of your comments into consideration when deciding how to format the deck profiles going forward. I wanted to get a little bit of everything. I had a lot of people saying they wanted just like a quick, simple deck profile. That way you can just take a look at the quick early deck list at the beginning of the video. I had a lot of people asking for combo tutorials for a lot of lists. That's why I wanted to throw that in there, and test hands as well. Trying to fit everything all at once. Not too much of anything, but kind of just an all-around, just all-encompassing deck profile that kind of hits something for everybody. I hope you guys like it. Let me know your feedback down below. Of course, subscribe to the channel as well, and I'll see you in the next video.